Hello, welcome to the Bible study on Call to Compassion Example, which is Module 2, Session 3 of the Living in the Image of God program of the Banking Blessings Ministry. My name is Goodluck Ofebu.
And I am Obi Ofebu. God creates every person to represent Him in interactions with others, to be for others what God would be for them if He lived with us in human form. He provides resources to empower every person to perform the responsibilities and rewards those that do.
Our program seeks to understand the meaning of living in the image of God, resources that God has provided to guide us, and human responsibilities and benefits of living in the image of God.
Let's dive right into learn, taste, and share from God's message.
In today's message, we will discuss the parable of the Good Samaritan as an example of a call to compassion regarding typical non-basic need.
The parable uses the events of a call to compassion to define love, neighbor, and love your neighbor.
Also, the parable defines need and needy in relation to a call to compassion.
We discuss these definitions to further understand what God expects from us in a call to compassion.
The parable of the Good Samaritan begins with a man that was beaten by robbers on a lonely road, stripped of his clothes and left half dead.
Through this example, the parable illustrates the definition of need in a call to compassion. A need can be simple or complex.
A person thirsty for a drink is an example of a simple need.
In contrast, the condition of the robber victim is an example of a complex need.
Also, the parable illustrates the definition of needy. A needy is a person in need of goods or service to be provided by external intervention. The person is not capable of helping himself or herself.
The need for external intervention is necessary to define needy. However, notice that whether the person is rich or poor, tall or short, and other status is irrelevant to the definition of needy.
It is only necessary that the person has a need that requires external intervention. Therefore, one way to recognize a call to compassion is to note that a person has a need that requires external intervention.
A person has freedom of choice in a call to compassion and can choose to decline the call,
or choose to accept and complete the responsibilities.
For example, a priest encountered the robber victim but looked the other way.
So did a Levite. Like the priest, the Levite also declined.
A Samaritan recognized the need, cared about the needy, committed to doing what he could, and began to alleviate the need.
Let's read from the Bible at Luke 10, verses 30 to 35.
Luke chapter 10, verse 30. In reply, Jesus said, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead."
Verse 31. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side.
So too a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. Luke 10, verse 32.
But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. Luke 10, verse 33.
He went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. Luke 10, verse 34.
The next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper. "Look after him," he said, "and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense you may have." Luke 10, verse 35.
The Samaritan recognized the need and cared about the needy. He saw him and took pity on him.
He immediately began to do what he could to alleviate the need. First, he provided first aid.
Next, he transported the man to an inn where he cared for him overnight.
He took full responsibility for the man's care by paying and promising to return with additional payment.
He showed commitment and perseverance through his actions.
The parable defines neighbor as a person that accepts and completes responsibilities in a call to compassion.
A person that accepts and completes responsibilities in a call to compassion is a neighbor to the beneficiary of the call.
The call recipient and the needy are connected in a provider-receiver network.
For example, the Good Samaritan is a neighbor to the robber victim.
In contrast, the priest and Levite each received an offer to be a neighbor to the robber victim, but declined the offer.
Christ used the parable to explain who is a neighbor and love your neighbor as yourself.
The provider in a call to compassion is a neighbor to the needy, that is the receiver.
The provider's act of compassion is a manifestation of love for the neighbor.
A call to compassion provides opportunity to love your neighbor as yourself.
What did we learn in this Bible study?
The parable of the Good Samaritan provides example of a call to compassion and illustrates potential range of response to human responsibility associated with a call to compassion.
The parable defines need and needy. A needy is a person in need of goods or service that require external intervention to alleviate the need.
The parable defines neighbor. The provider in a call to compassion is a neighbor to the needy.
Also, the parable defines love and love your neighbor. The act of compassion by the provider is a manifestation of love for the neighbor.
A person has freedom of choice in a call to compassion to decline the call or accept and complete the responsibilities.
To accept and complete the call recipient is to recognize the need, care about the needy, commit to providing, and persevere in seeking to alleviate the need.
Please join us again in our continuing discussion of living in the image of God.
Thank you, and God bless you.